Hi everyone. I'm Teng Boo from Capital Dynamics again. Good to see you all. Today's topic is, well, I find it very interesting. It's a bit of update to something that I've said many months ago, where in one of my sessions, I shared with you all what is the true condition in countries like Britain, the homelessness in US, the situation in Canada, and so on. For today, the focus will be on Great Britain, right? I'm sure it's a place where many of you have visited and a place where many of you think very highly of. You think of London, you think of the British Museum, you think of all the lovely, wonderful things that you can sort of romanticize about Great Britain, right? But what is the reality facing Great Britain? Is it great as what you think, as what they think it is? Let's take a look at a few interesting topics.
I'd like to update the House on the action that we took on Thursday night against Houthi military targets in Yemen. I can tell the House today that our initial assessment is that all 13 planned targets were destroyed. At the drone and cruise missile base in Barney, 9 buildings were successfully hit. A further 3 buildings were hit at Abs airfield, along with a cruise missile launcher caught in the open. We have seen no evidence thus far of civilian casualties, which we took great care to avoid. I know the whole House will join me in paying tribute to the incredible bravery and professionalism of all our servicemen and women.
Okay, that is British Prime Minister talking in the Parliament about UK and US and a few other countries striking against the Houthis in Yemen. Let's watch the second video together.
60 years ago, here in San Diego, President Kennedy spoke of a higher purpose, the maintenance of freedom, peace, and security. Today, we stand together, united by that same purpose, and recognizing that to fulfill it, we must forge new kinds of relationships to meet new kinds of challenge, just as we have always done. In the last 18 months, the challenges we face have only grown. Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, China's growing assertiveness, the destabilizing behavior of Iran and North Korea, all threaten to create a world defined by danger, disorder, and division. Faced with this new reality, it is more important than ever that we strengthen the resilience of our own countries. That's why the UK is today announcing a significant uplift in our defence budget. We're providing an extra £5 billion over the next 2 years, immediately increasing our defence budget to around 2.25% of GDP. This will allow us to replenish our war stocks and modernise our nuclear enterprise, delivering AUKUS and strengthening our deterrent.
That is the same Prime Minister announcing a very surprising announcement, a military alliance between Australia, UK, and US called AUKUS, which I think caught a lot of the people in US, the people in Britain, ordinary people in Australia by big surprise, because it was not really debated in their parliaments. Let's share another video, again by Rishi Sunak from Britain.
Thank you. I come from the world's oldest parliament to address the world's bravest, and it is an honour to do so. We meet today at a difficult moment in the struggle for Ukraine's freedom. And as always, during conflict, there will be difficult moments. But we must prepare for this to be a long war. But I believe that there is hope for us in the echoes of Britain's own history. If 1940 was our finest hour,
and Ukraine's was 2 years ago as you resisted the Russian invasion, then perhaps today is more like 1942.
So here you have Rishi Sunak, right, being nostalgic, talking about the oldest parliament. Of course, he did not describe a decaying parliament, governing a decaying country, an empire that doesn't exist anymore. They, together with their so-called allies, launched attacks on Houthis. Why? Why did the Houthis attack the ships in the Red Sea? How did it all started? And in the case of AUKUS, you heard Rishi Sunak talking about the need to contain the threats from China, a country that has never colonized any country in its long 5,000 years history, a country that has never posed any threat to any other country, whereas Britain and United States have, in their short history, almost colonized every country in the world. So why AUKUS? Why is an aggressor having to defend itself? Just be less aggressive. Then you heard the third video where he talks about the oldest parliament and talking about World War II. They're so nostalgic. They're living in a world of the past that doesn't exist anymore. You have Rishi Sunak, Liz Truss, the Prime Minister who stayed only in power for 44 days. 44 days, that's just about 7 weeks. That's the shortest of any Prime Minister. And then before that, Boris Johnson, whom is probably, he's charismatic, who's probably the most clownish Prime Minister UK has ever produced. And before that, Theresa May was very weak. So what have all these recent 4 Prime Ministers, or including the current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, what have they all got in common? I think it's very stark, it's very clear that Great Britain has been declining. It has been declining at a very fast pace, and it continues to descend lower and lower over the years. In many ways, guided by this romantic notion that they are still a great power, they are still the policemen of the world, they got to protect freedom, when actually they are the one who is causing war all over the world. So the question is, has Great Britain's decline reached a bottom? Is it about to become great again? Because, my description of Great Britain is that it has become little India? Or is Great Britain at a point of no return? Now, you heard earlier the Prime Minister of UK saying that they are expanding their defense budget. It's 2% plus of GDP. That is a lot. Can Great Britain afford? Can the people of Britain afford such an empire like that doesn't exist anymore? Let me update you on what the conditions are in Great Britain. Let's take a look at the British Library, where the main catalogue with more than 36 million records were subjected to cyber attack last year. And even up to now, it is not fully restored. And can you imagine for us in Malaysia where, let's say, our National Library, for example, or the National Library's website is attacked and then it's down for a month, right? And some of the data of their employees have been leaked out and so on. And British Library has one of the largest book collections in the world, right? But the problem with Great Britain doesn't stop with just the British Library. It has a long list. Maybe we can look at the next video. There you go, that's London, right? I mean, if I didn't tell you, you probably think that it's another city, or maybe you think it's Kuala Lumpur, another city famous for horrible traffic jams. But according to TomTom Traffic Index, the latest traffic index from TomTom, London is still the most congested city in the world, is still the world's slowest city, right? And if you look at the next figure, the next slide, it shows you. This is the rush hour during weekdays. How much additional time was spent in the car during rush hour in London? If you look at it on the left-hand side, you have the morning rush, which is about 43 minutes per 10 kilometer, and then in the evening rush is about 45 minutes per 10 kilometer. Per 10 kilometer, if let's say I'm in KL, in the city, probably if I were to leave Chinatown, Petaling Street, 10 kilometers would take me somewhere in maybe the earlier section of Petaling Jaya and so on. That is roughly about 10 kilometers. And the situation in London hasn't improved. This TomTom Traffic Index 2024 is the most recent, but if you look at 2023, 2022, London is still ranked as number 1 in terms of the most congested, the worst traffic jam in the entire world. The index, I think they compile and survey data from 300 plus cities all over the world. So it's pretty comprehensive, right? I mean, why would you want to live in such a city? I already mentioned, I already talked about traffic jams in KL, it's really horrible. And then to live in the number 1 congested city in the world, I think Rishi Sunak maybe should revisit his priorities, right? Instead of trying to be an empire which is not an empire anymore, maybe he should look at the domestic problems facing his own country. I mean, whether it's Rishi Sunak, whether it's Liz Truss, the entire Conservative Party should be looking into all these kind of problems which have affecting the day-to-day life of the ordinary British. Then, what is more shocking? This is a photo of post office, the UK post office. Now, what has that got to do with whether Britain is declining further? This has got to do with Fujitsu. Fujitsu built a system for the UK Post Office called Horizon. And inside this Horizon IT system, there are a lot of flaws, a lot of errors. And these errors led to a lot of, it's not just the system not working, where you have bugs and all, it's the consequences were a lot more damaging than that. Maybe you can look at one of the guy. What happened was, because the Horizon was faulty, so what happened was, at the branch level, at the sub-post office level, the postmasters were in their information, in their accounting information, showed that they actually were taking cash away from the post office. And then the post office demanded that they pay back and so on. So about 900 over sub-branch postmasters were affected. And many of them actually went bankrupt. And this person here, the photo that I show you, that the faulty Horizon system developed by Fujitsu of Japan left him on the verge of bankruptcy. And this happened many years ago. Up to now, it has not been rectified. Some of these tragic post office masters have died, and they died with the image that they actually stole money. Right? Here we saw 32 of them died. Can we go back to the previous photo? Yes. This is one of the post office master at the branch level. He was jailed for £25,000 theft, which actually he did not commit, which actually was a result of the faulty Horizon system developed by Fujitsu. I mean, can you imagine that sort of things happening? I mean, if it happens in Malaysia, because, useless government, lousy government, blah, 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 and so on and so forth, and that's because we're a developing country. But this is happening in a developed country, where the GDP per capita is about 4 times higher than that of Malaysia in US dollar terms. Here, you look at the next one. It's called, this article says, is the worst miscarriage of justice in British history, right? And the middle article, which is a bit blurred, says, they bullied me to plead guilty. And the one on the right side, those who cover up this Fujitsu/Horizon post office scandal should be thrown in jail like he was. And 2024, the scandal is not rectified. And there you go, you have the Prime Minister, whether it's Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss or Boris Johnson, trying to protect freedom in the world, trying to create an imaginary enemy called China, creating military alliance with US and Australia. And you have your own innocent people suffering. What kind of democracy is that? And you claim to be the oldest parliament. Maybe the Prime Minister of UK should relook at their priorities. Stop going around the world acting like as if you're still the Great Britain, because you're no more the Great Britain, and take care of your people, take care of your country. Because there's so many problems. The list doesn't stop here. I've shown this before. This is Asda. Asda is a supermarket chain in Europe. Their workers are on strike. And it's not just the supermarket on strike. If you look at this, it's council workers. Council workers would be like, for example, workers of Dewan Bandaraya KL or Majlis Perbandaran Klang or Majlis Perbandaran Taiping or something like that. These are the council workers going on strike, right? That's not the end of the sectors on strike. NHS, National Health Service. I mean, can you imagine? We recently, I think, had some form of protest from our junior doctors, right? But that was on a very limited scale. In the case of Britain, take a look at the next one. This is the train drivers. The train strikes, the drivers, by the train drivers have been going on for months and months. It's not just yesterday, it's going on for quite a long time. And what is even more shocking is the next photo I'm going to share with you. This is a strike calendar. Calendar, you know, like you got January, February, March, April, May, that kind of calendar. Now, this calendar is specifically to inform the viewers of what strikes are happening, where, when. Why do you need a calendar? Because there are so many strikes and it's happening over such a prolonged period that you as an ordinary person, ordinary commuter, ordinary user of these services, you need to know whether, if you go and see a doctor in the National Service, whether the doctor is on strike, whether you take a train, whether the train is serving, if you take a bus, whether the bus is running. So it's so bad, the strike situation in UK, in this country that tries to protect freedom all over the world, that they need to create a calendar. This is December from, hang on. This is December the 1st. It's a bit showing you a bit towards the end of November 2023, right? And then it starts from 1st December, and at the bottom is 8 and 9 December. Different colors shows you strike by different entities, right? The one in purple is the London Transit. The one in greenish brown is Education Authority. The one in darkish blue is the train drivers. And then there's a yellow color is from Alexander Dennis. This is up to 9 December. The next photo will show you from 10 December up to 23rd December. So every day you see there are strikes across Britain. And that's up to 23rd December. The next one will show you from 24th December up to the end of December, right? Different colors. The darkish brown shows you the refuse the garbage workers in Cardiff, right? And then the yellowish greenish is showing you the fire control workers in Merseyside, which is in the middle of England. And then you see the RMT, which is the London Underground Engineering strike. Then you move to January. Let's say you want to visit London, you want to visit UK, you want to visit this Great Britain. Please refer to the calendar, the strike calendar. Because here you see this is 1st January up to the 12th of January. You have in bright red, School Support Staff Union, which is on strike. This is the northern part of UK. The underground people are still on strike. The pensions regulator, even regulators regulating pensions are also on strike. And then now it's already past 12th January. Okay, let's look at the rest of January, 14th January up to the 20th of January. The same people, you have additional one like TransLink and so on and so forth. And then you have the bus, which is on the 19th of January in Battersea and Twickenham. So if you're happening to go to Battersea and Twickenham on 19th of January, don't expect the bus service to be functioning. It continues. This is January, towards the end of January, up to from 21st January up to 31st January, and it continues to February. Look, my point is this. Why does the need for a strike calendar exist? Why are there so many strikes? And here you have the government, the British Prime Minister, going all around the world, getting all the priorities wrong. Spending 2+% of Britain's GDP on defense. Who is attacking Great Britain? China is about 14,000 kilometers away from Great Britain. Why are you defending yourself and setting up AUKUS? The Houthis, why are you involved in the Red Sea? Can't the US, Britain and so on, can you all sit down and ask Israel and the Palestinians to have a ceasefire and solve the problem? What about the Ukraine? You know, everybody thought when the Ukrainian crisis broke out, it's going to be a quick one and it will be soon over. The Ukraine crisis has dragged on. I'm not a military analyst. I'm not a military strategist. At the very beginning of the Ukrainian crisis, I said, be prepared for a very long crisis. It is not going to be over in 1, 2, 3 months. You are dealing with Russia. You're not dealing with a tiny country or weak country, you know, like Britain fought with Argentina over the Falkland Islands 40 years ago. This is Russia, one of the world's greatest military powers. And you expect the Ukrainian crisis to be over. And you expect the Ukrainian crisis to be cheap. Look, the Ukrainian crisis need not have occurred in the first place. It is pushed by America, it is promoted by America, and led by NATO, and then other countries all very naively became partners of this unnecessary crisis. But yet, at the same time, your people, the people in Great Britain, are totally unhappy. They got endless problems. And these are not small, isolated problems. These are major social, economic issues that any responsible government, whether you got the oldest parliament or the youngest parliament, any responsible government should have already solved them a long time ago. So, coming back to my question, where we posed at the beginning, right? Is the decline in Great Britain's power, economy, and so on reach a bottom, or is it at a point of no return? I'm very sure that the decline in Great Britain is still got a long way to go. It is the 5th largest economy now. Very soon it will be overtaken by India. And not long after that, it will be taken over by Indonesia. And before you know it, Great Britain may not be in the top 10 largest economies in the world. That's relative. You know, it doesn't matter. If the other countries are growing better than you, you make sure that your own economy, especially in terms of social economic conditions, are appropriate for your citizens. So from that point of view, I think the decline that we see coming from Great Britain is going to continue for a very, very long time. I hope you can share this with other people. There's no ulterior motive in this. I just want to highlight an observation that I've made. I just want to share an observation that I've made. Share our YouTube, our Facebook, like them, support them, and we hope to see you in another session. Bye-bye.